Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Comix Rant Mini. I'm your host, Arvin Bautista, and we're going to go through Batman Ninja by Masato Hisa. And I went on vacation for a month to the Philippines and then to Japan, and it was fantastic. I had a blast seeing my family in the Philippines and also going crazy in Japan and just absorbing all the awesome pop culture stuff. You know what? I did not buy as much as my family did. I was very reserved in what I picked out. And it was interesting. I loved being able to explore Japan and through their manga. And I loved how manga was kind of still in convenience stores, which they call konbinis. And it just made sense to me. The manga in the stores would usually be the recent stuff, and then, you can flip through them. But what I found, a lot of bookstores in Japan have their manga sealed in plastic, bags. And not like comic book bags. You just can't open, or I don't think you're supposed to open them. They're nice bags. It's just, it's not conducive to browsing, and also not helpful for a person that does not read Japanese. So I don't read Japanese, guys, but I love flipping through manga, and you just can't, not in popular stores. So if you've been to like Kinokuniya in the US, it's the same style. I believe certain books are open, but most of them are sealed in plastic bags. So it was very difficult for me to go to the main ones that I would look up online and ask which are the best stores for used books and all that kind of stuff, and browsing through manga. And they would say these bigger stores like Mandarake and Kinokuniya. But again, as someone who does not read the language and has no idea who these creators are, it's not very helpful. Except for this one store that my nephews and nieces pointed out to me, Book Off. And there's bigger versions of Book Off called Book Off Plus. And I picked this up at a Book Off Plus in Yokohama. And that's a used bookstore, used clothing store, used game store, used everything store. And the manga there, the books there are all unsealed. And how about that for crazy? Because as I was browsing, this was the book that I found. One of the first books that I found, which is kind of wild because it's Batman Ninja. How much more appropriate for this Western comic book nerd to find a manga-ized Batman. And this is actually based off of a movie, an anime movie that came out in 2018. And I believe it's been directed by Junpei Mizusaki, who did like this opening sequence for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's this 3D, 2D hybrid, and that's exactly what Batman Ninja looks like. And then the character designer is the guy who did Afro Samurai. And then the writer, I believe, is one of the creators of Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill. And I don't know if you guys know any anime or anything like that, but these creators are crazy awesome. But they're very distinct. How they do their stories, how they do their designs. It's their own thing. It's their own style. And that's why I love it. It looks so much like their own. It's not your typical manga looking stuff. And so those are the guys who did the movie. This was done by Masato Hisa, who has done Area 51, a manga. I haven't read it yet, but I like his style. It does look like this. It's very graphic, so already not like your usual manga. Very striking. And I like it. I like it a lot. It's got this, it's the perfect mix, right, of Western and Eastern looking art for the manga. And I do like the economy and the style that he blends in together. I can kind of see like he can go fast with this, but still make it really good. It reminds me of Eduardo Risso's stuff and Frank Miller, obviously, right? Like, that's probably what he was looking at. But he'll choose like interesting perspectives to present the story. This character design is from the movie, but I like how he boils it down, how Masato Hisa boils it down so it works with his stuff. They're different looking. It's his own thing. There's Harley. The Harley design in this movie is really cool. I mean, all the designs are very, very cool. It's also bonkers. So don't look for a Bruce Timm, Paul Dini movie, Batman. This is their own thing, and it is awesome for it because it just escalates into craziness. If anybody has watched Gurren Lagann, you will understand how crazy it gets. Maybe not as crazy as Gurren Lagann, but pretty crazy. Anyway, so what happens here is Batman gets sent back into alternate reality Japan, ancient Japan, which is great. And I think the reasoning for that is because the villains and the other heroes get sent back there, so they kind of throw time off whack. But everybody gets redesigned for this time period, and it's great. Like, Catwoman looks different. In the beginning I just flipped through it, but it's the traditional Catwoman design. Grodd is in the mix. Batman still looks like regular Batman. He's not samurai eyes yet. Joker's regular Joker. And it's just fun, guys. Like, the book and the story is just fun. I know it because of the movie, but you can kind of get some cool sequences going on here. And that's how I was looking for my manga selections when I was in Japan. Like, I was trying to find books that I could kind of understand even without knowing the language. Which I guess you could say is difficult, but I kind of really enjoy trying to decipher comics this way. It's a testimony to just how good of a comic book artist is drawing the book, because you're telling stories. That is first and foremost the most important thing. So certain things that get set up, the cool looking Batmobile, right? Alfred, just in general, right? Or specifically to this book, to see it play out. I watched the movie, so I kind of cheated. I understood what was going on. But, even without that, you can see some of these action sequences, which is great. This is a cool use of inverting Batman. Like, there's a Batman moment where this kid falls down, Superman style, Superman 2 style. Batman goes into action, and I like how he just kind of inverses this moment to give importance to it and saves the kid. You can kind of see what's going on, even without understanding the language. And there's also certain things in here too. I've forgotten if it was in the movie, but they allude to continuity. I guess the most obvious one, because everybody would know it. Look at that Joker. Crazy looking face. The most obvious thing that everybody would probably know in pop culture, or I guess, would be Jason Todd getting beat up by the Joker. And maybe even that he becomes a Red Hood. But anyway, it was in this book, and I had forgotten if it was in the movie, but I do love that was part of it, because, this is not continuity Batman, but they do reference things and relationships that kind of, is a little bit on the fan service side, right? It's kind of cool. Anyway, it's action, right? Like, that's what I love about manga, the way they set up their action. And it's, and the amount of pages and time that they can devote to the action is also very different from Western comics. There are Western comics now, obviously, that have a lot of action, but manga just has a genre that caters to it, and I've always loved that. Batman in a mech? I mean, of course, right? Of course. You would think that, okay, Japan's gonna make Batman, Of course there's gonna be a mech. But the story just goes nuts. If you've watched the movie, you understand what I mean. If you haven't, you should, and not expect it to be your regular Batman. And I love how over the top everything goes and happens. That's a cool Joker face. in the manga because it's just no holds barred. Because why? Right? And that's my favorite part about Batman Ninja. So this first chapter, I believe, look at these drawings, it's pretty cool. First chapter is just some of the movie, and I believe it might end halfway. Or maybe a little after halfway. I hope I'm not flipping through this too much, but I found, like I mentioned when I was in Japan, I couldn't really browse through things. And I kind of want to do that for my channel. Just browse through these books, just to kind of get, this is how I pick my books. Like I look through it, browse through it real quick and go, oh, I like that. I'm going to buy that. Cool looking Catwoman. I mean, all the characters look really cool. Retranslated from a style that was set by an anime. With from like the original comic books, right? Like how's that for Wild? And Masato Hisa plays it like there's no problem. This Robin's cool. This Robin always looked funny to me in the book, but he works it right, just right with the graphic quality, because he's like bald. He's like monk style. But I like these faces. And that monkey. Yes, that monkey does come in to the story. Meets up with Grodd and all that kind of stuff and explains what just happened to this craziness. And it's just interesting. Always interesting to see anybody else's take on Batman, right? On regular traditional Batman. And the added layer, this looks like this kind of cool Frank Miller-y Batman. The added layer of a totally different culture. Looking at Batman in a different lens. And that is a testimony to the IP. Because everybody wants their own take on Batman. Cool face. Very cool faces. Moment of suspense. Oh yeah, Deathstroke's in this too. I forgot. So when I went to Japan, the yen was low. And so my US dollars went a long way. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt myself, but it's kind of cool. I found how this is a movie tie-in book, right? But I like how there was like these little flyers to get you to buy stuff. I mean, it's related, right? So it kind of makes sense. And it's a cool statue of the guy's character design. And the way these books have been presented, I mean, a lot of manga is like this. Manga is like this, where there's dust jackets and stuff. It's just a nice layer of quality. And there's a lot of that in Japan. There's a lot of quality going on. Anyway, so when we went, the yen was down. And look at this for crazy. So that's a used book. So obviously, right? So regular price is 700, but I got it at book off for 110 yen. When I went there, the yen was 160 yen to $1. So this was less than $1. I was so proud of myself. Meanwhile, my family's buying all this crazy stuff, which is also still affordable. But I was so proud that I came out of this bookstore and I just spent $2. Less than $2 because I bought this and another book. I bought just a few of the books. What I did was I really just tried to soak in the comic book culture there, the pop culture there when I was there. I guess I should have bought more stuff, but it wasn't necessary. It was just nice to be reinvigorated and re-energized with comic books, about comic books from a different country. Anyway, so that's Batman Ninja by Masato Hisa, and that was this is one of my first books that I found there at the used bookstore, and I will go through a few more in future episodes. And I have all sorts of comics I still want to go through, so hopefully I can make more episodes. And I hope that was informative to anybody that was interested in Batman Ninja manga. And I will see you guys next time on Comix Rant.